As soon as the light hit his back, he stood up, turned, and screamed at us. I don't know who was more scared, him or us. Hello again and welcome back to Talk About Strange. Thank you for joining me here today. I got another really cool story to share with you that got sent in by Steve. So how cool is that, right? Some great stuff. I just want to say you guys are killing it. I asked you guys a few days ago to continue sending stories in. They don't have to be big, elaborate stories. They're all really important and we need to share them. So make sure you send them in. And you did. Like I got a group of emails that came right in over the past couple of days. And so I'm sharing them right now and I really appreciate it. And I think everybody's going to enjoy it. So this next one coming up, if you came from that last one, Bigfoot, I have a Bigfoot neighbor. I hope you enjoyed those stories. That was two different stories that came in. And this one comes in, Bigfoot friend or foe. So you guys stick around. You can enjoy this. Don't forget to stop over to the Talk About Strange store. Right there, there's a link on my homepage, and there's some wonderful products that you can get there, like this really cool T-shirt. It's really comfortable. I really like it. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback about it. So check that out when you get a chance. I think you'll really like that. And if you want, you can join a membership and you can get discounts over there at the store. And we got a lot of great things that are going to be coming. I think we got a phenomenal year ahead of us. This channel is going to grow like crazy. We have so much stuff going on and we've made so many contacts with so many incredible people over this past year. So thank you all so very much. None of this would be possible without you. So let's go ahead without any further ado and get started on this story. Otherwise, people are going to start leaving, right? Because I'm talking too much. All right, let's get started here. Dear Mr. Strange, my name is Steve. So for the sake of distinction, I'll refer to you as Mr. Strange. Laugh out loud. You might as well. Everybody else is. But if you ask anybody who knows me, they might say that I'm the strange one. I watched your video last night and heard your call for us to share our stories with you. I am actually glad that you said it in the way that you did. If I'm being honest, I love your channel because of the stories and shares you get are extremely elaborate at times. But because of that, I was reluctant to share my seemingly simple encounters. But you are correct in saying that we do need to share them no matter how big or small. It's like that guy in the other channel always says. We need to continue to share our knowledge. If you don't know who I'm referring to, we share a common name. Yes, I do. I think I know exactly who you're referring to. I have a couple of encounter stories I'd like to share with you. Just so you know, I did send them in to him a long time ago, but I don't think he ever got a chance to share them. He's got mountains of these stories. They're probably nothing special, but when it happened, it shook me to my core. So if it helps, I will share them here with you now. Yes, it does. The first one I'd like to dub friend or foe. My first encounter happened about 35 years ago. I lived in Maryland near the Potomac River. I still live in Maryland, but have since moved more to the south. But despite what happened, I continue to return to my sweet spot on the river every year to bass fish. I swear, fishermen, when you get a spot, you'll do anything. It doesn't matter. You will go there no matter what. My brother Chuck and I were camping out for the weekend. We both worked construction jobs and took our fishing time very serious. I believe it was only our first, maybe our second time there, depending on which one of us you ask. We spent the day fishing and goofing off. Come evening, we chilled by the fire and shot the shit about work, women, and weather. It wasn't quite dark yet when we started hearing what sounded like someone rapping a baseball bat against a tree. It was hard to tell how far away it was because of the dense forest behind us. At first, we thought it was just a lazy woodpecker and laughed it off, but it continued and started getting louder as it got darker. About 2 hours after dark, we said screw it and turned in. My brother and I shared a 6-man tent with 2 sleeping cots. The noises continued into the night. We still didn't think too much of it other than it was odd. We even wondered if it was just forest noises, up until things started bouncing off from the tent. We both sat up and looked at each other and listened. I asked Chuck, what the F was that? There wasn't any trees close enough to the tent or branches to land on it. Then it happened again. We both quickly grabbed our flashlights and scrambled outside. About the time we rounded the tent, a rock the size of my fist rolled past us. We both shined the light in the direction of the woods where it came from. Just as we were about to head back to the tent, we heard something or someone step on a branch. So we quickly shined the light back into the woods. Just for a moment, we caught a glimpse of red eye shine, and then it was gone. Chuck hollered out, "What are you friend or foe?" We waited, but there was no response. Then he said, "Okay, buddy, we're heading back to bed. We don't want any trouble, so please leave." Soon as we turned around, we heard our first whoop. I think we both might have crapped our pants. We hightailed it back to our tents and squatted in the middle and was looking around. What a sight that must have been. We kept asking each other, what the F was that? Some might say we were a couple of chicken shits, but I'll tell you what, until you hear what we heard, don't be so quick to judge. It was so loud you could feel it in your ears, like when you're not expecting a fire whistle to go off next to you. Yeah, I know that feeling. I can't imagine the lung capacity it would take to make that kind of a sound, but it was terrifying. Within seconds, we heard it again from somewhere deeper in the forest. We just sat and listened. The one nearest us did it again, but sounded further away. After that, nothing, but neither one of us slept a wink that night. I take this back now. There were 3 incidences. I almost forgot the third one, but for the sake of timing, that was the first one. The second time was about 2 years later, right there in the same spot. It was our second day there. We had been hearing those wood knocks way deep in the forest. By now we knew exactly what it was and figured if they wanted us gone, they would have chased us out by now. We already had caught our limit in bass, so we were stocking up on some sunfish and a bit of catch and release. So we had plenty of good harvest in our cooler, laugh out loud. That night, the wood knocking was a lot closer again, like it was the first time we were there. We sat by the campfire and chilled, as always. I'd be lying if I didn't say I was just a little bit nervous, but I didn't feel like we were in any immediate danger. We drank a few beers and turned in. About 2 hours later, we heard something walking around outside of our tent. I sat up and Chuck shushed me immediately and pointed to the side of the tent. The moonlight was casting a tall shadow on and over the tent. Whoa. We sat quietly hoping it would leave, but you could hear him sniffing around. I had pretty good idea why, laugh out loud. My brother had one of those nice metal thermos coolers with latches on it. As we were listening, we heard the metal bending and the latches snap off. Chuck was pissed. He loved that cooler. But what are you going to do? Then we heard him sniffing it and started walking away. We were hoping maybe he didn't take the cooler. We waited a minute or so, then quickly slipped out with our flashlights. The cooler was gone. My brother scanned the area, and as he shined the light down along the shoreline, he saw him squatting with his back to us and the cooler between his legs. As soon as the light hit his back, he stood up, turned, and screamed at us. I don't know who was more scared, him or us, but he ran into the woods and was gone, along with at least half of our fish that he had already eaten. He was a big son of a bitch, let me tell you. I'll bet it only took him about 3 steps to return to the woods over 20 foot away. Wow. We tried to figure out why he did it this time and not the other times. And the only thing we could figure was maybe there was some sort of a food shortage. So from there on out, we'd walk about 100 yards from our camp and left the heads, guts, and a few whole fish. And ever since that, it hasn't happened again. I don't know. You tell me why. Anyway, the time I almost forgot was because I wasn't there. It was only last year. My brother bought some equipment from out of town and was on his way back home. He was rounding a really long bend in the road when his lights shined out past the road across a small field and into the woods. It wasn't too far from where we were fishing, our fishing hole was, maybe about 15-20 miles. He said his lights caught the eye shine just for a moment and he knew right off what it was. So he locked his eyes on the spot as he drove past it. There was just enough moonlight for him to make out the shape of its head and its wide shoulders as it was walking, probably unaware that it had been spotted. I told him that he was a fool and lucky that he didn't drive right off the end of the road. So So that's my two little encounters along with my brothers. I wish I'd been there for. I hope this helps you in your mission of sharing the stories of these awesome creatures. I'll tell anybody straight up, if you ask me, they are probably less likely to bother you if you respect them in their home, just like almost any wild creature. There it is, Steve. That's awesome, Steve. Thank you so very much for sending that in to us. What a phenomenal story. I mean, that's a great story. I don't know what you're saying when you thought that it wasn't elaborate enough. I mean, that's a really good encounter story. I mean, wow, how cool was that? I can't imagine that whoop being so loud. Like, you hear about that, how there's just a deep barrel chest, how much sound that they can put out. I mean, I have a feeling it must have been right in the hedgerow right there, probably looking at you guys when it did that. So, wow, how wild. And good for you not being scared away from that. I mean, it doesn't sound like there was any intention of hurting you guys. So, I mean, that's really cool. Other than, as long as you share some of your fish, I mean, you're all good, right? That's really neat. Anyway, yeah, very cool. Thanks for sending that in to us. You guys, don't forget to click that link here at the end. Bigfoot saved us from a pack of hungry wolves. Another great story. And then there's a whole bunch of them after that. So continue watching and enjoying. Thank you so very much. And I will see you again really soon.